Hi guys. Okay, I'm gonna do this little jar, and I'm gonna attempt to do this mold. It's new. I got it from Temu. Please excuse the noise in the background. I live in the city. But anyway, I'm gonna show you the mold. Hold on. So it's a moon. The moon, and then this piece is gonna interlock and it's gonna swing around the moon. And these are the pieces that you're gonna put to this, and then this locks into these, and then you're gonna be able to swing that around. So we're gonna do this. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but I got several things going on here. So here's the jar that I want to do. It's a little jar like that. I put this in there so I could have some stability on this part. Okay, so we're gonna do this. This is what I'm really concentrating on. So this is going to be this pearl white and these mylar flakes that I made myself from a sheet of mylar, and I grinded it up. I have this grinder that I use. It's supposed to be for like coffee grounds, but I used it for that. This needs more resin. So did you see that? Oh my goodness. I went on TikTok live and attempted to do some epoxy resin. I did this surfboard, and when I tell you that I got no attention whatsoever, at one point I had 4 people in the live, and then it dwindled down to 1. And I had one conversation. The person asked me how I was doing and what I was doing. And after I gave them the information, it was over. But anyway, I don't know, I got some jazz in the background. If it's too loud, I'm sorry. But you know, it's relaxing. And you know, when I start getting into what I'm doing, I shut down. I don't really speak a lot, so at least you'll have a little music in the background. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But anyway, here we go. So I'm going to start with the flakes. And I want the flakes to be all around. Right. This needs more. I have more resin over here. I have a little bit left. So I'm going to stick this in here, and I'm going to put the rest of that in here so it could be a little more fluid. I don't know if you can see me. All right, let me move this over. Move this here. Commercial interruption. Sorry. All right, here we go. Alright, pretty good. Throw some resin in there. Throw a little resin and a little isopropyl. So the resin, it's a little too much in there. So the resin helps. So we're gonna put some in here. That's gonna be like the handle of the lid. So put some in there. Make sure I have enough in there. Alright, and now we're gonna start with this. Yes, we could pull it, throw it in there. Good shot. Alright. So it's in there. Let's pull this side now. Throw some in there. And the other side. Wet my hand. Take my little popsicle stick and move that down a little. Mush it up on down there. How's everybody doing? I know I haven't been on here in eons. I've been busy. Busy summer. But summer's over. Kids are going back to school or already started school. I'm in New York, so we start in September. Regular Board of Ed students, charter schools, and Catholic schools start before. They start in August. But I don't have no little babies. Everybody's grown. So, not to worry. For me, I can feel the change of weather too. I'm starting to get sniffly. Let me mush this. Mush it a little. I think that's good. Now we're gonna pour some of this pearly color. Do a little scrub. Which I think this is not enough. I need way more. But don't worry, we're gonna make it do what it do. Let me save some for the lid. I see something in there. Let me get it out now. A little black something. Yep, gotta make some more. I'm telling you, some of these molds, they just fool you. You're thinking, oh, let me just make this amount and it be okay. And you look and you be like, no, I need way more than that. We're not gonna waste this. We're gonna pour this in there. Yeah, give it some depth. That will go down the sides when I pour some more down there. That needs more as well. So we'll save that. Leave that right there. Put some more of this resin I have in there. Make some more white. I need white for this other mold. It's been sitting for a while. I made it before I got on to make the video so it could sit in the gas. So it was sitting here for a while. I'm not gonna make this too opaque. I want it to be a little translucent because I'm gonna put this in the moon. This is gonna sit right here. This is gonna sit right here. I'm gonna give it a little spray. I'm gonna come over here. We're gonna do this. Now I got some rocks. So I'm gonna put some rocks here on the edge. I probably made too much, but it's alright. I'll find something to put it in. I could put it in there. Push comes to shove. Right? Put that in there. This is like the rim of the moon. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, then I got some gray. And I'm gonna throw some gray in there. Just a little bit, not a lot. Right? And the white. And some black. Now the black, sparingly. You don't want to do too much black. You know, the black will overpower. I'm gonna go back with the pearl. And then we're gonna give it a little mush around. Mush it around. Trying to incorporate that black and that gray. Alright. That looks good. Not too much. Try not to touch the bottom of your mold, because then you'll scratch it up. And you know, these inexpensive molds, they already come with their own imperfections as it is. So try to be easy when you do it. It's looking pretty good so far. Put a little bit more of this gray. It's like a gray silver. I got this, there's a trio. It comes like a bronze, a gold, and this silver grayish. Come 3 in a pack. Don't ask me what's the name of them. I don't remember. It's been a while. That's pretty much done. Some of this clear that I have in here, in the rocks, and I could throw it in there, so I can continue to fill it, because it still needs a little bit more. That's good. We'll leave that alone for now. I'll leave it like that. Let's do a little cleanup. Clean that out. I need some more. I'm gonna make some more resin. So let's make let's see. We're gonna make 80 mLs. We'll start. I always start with my part B. Might not be enough. Maybe I'll go the whole 100. Yeah, I'm gonna do the whole 100. We'll go to 50 with the part B. 50 with the part A. There we go. Excellent. Clean off the bottle. Then it starts leaking all over the place. Okay. Put that back over there. Give me another tissue. Clean off my hands a little bit. Alright, this is clear. I hope everybody's been doing well. Mixing, and I have all those fancy mixing this, mix that, and I don't use it. It's just sitting there looking at me. I like the hand mix. I need a debubbler. That's what I need. I don't know. I'll get it one of these days. I don't know when, but I'll get one. So yeah, I thought I was doing something, getting on that TikTok live. I said, yeah, I'm gonna get some folks to watch me. Sure, you're right. I was watching myself. I was like, I just might as well have made a video for YouTube. I'm sitting here talking to myself. And I don't even like to talk. I was telling stories and everything. Oh, well, I guess I should tell a story. All right, let me see. So as y'all know, or maybe you don't know, I'm a nurse. That's my profession. I've been a nurse since 1993. I like what I do. I've worked in every section of the hospital except for geriatrics and pediatrics. Now, I was raised by my grandma, so I'm very affectionate towards old people, and I don't like to see the ravages of aging, and I get very attached to my patients, clients, residents. So I cry at TV movies. So for me to see someone get to that age and they start to lose their identity and where they at and where they've been and who they are affects me, because I was raised by my grandma. So I can't do it. I can't do it. Now, pediatrics, I don't like to hear children cry. And not because I feel sorry for them or I can't really soothe them for whatever the crying is. It's just it gets underneath my skin. I can't do the crying. I'm sorry. I can't do it. So stay away from it. it gets up on them and my skin. It's like, oh, hush, little baby, don't cry. But they can't talk, they can't express themselves, and so they cry, and I'm like, I can't take it, so I stay away from it. It just takes me to another realm, so I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna stay away. So I've worked. So my major was psychiatric nursing. So I did 3 years in Harlem Hospital, and I worked in the psychiatric department, and I loved it, and it was great, and I had no problem with it. But I wanted to venture on and do other things, so I did other things. Where else I worked? I worked in the hospital. I worked in the emergency room. I've worked in labor and delivery. Not my forte either. All that screaming and crying and I'm in pain, take it out. Ooh-wee. Not doing that either. Let me see what else. I've worked home care agencies. I've worked with home health aides. I've supervised them. Let me see what else. I've done visiting nurse services in New York for 4 years. So I ran around and visit numerous of patients in their home. I did that. So I've been around. I've done a lot. Mucho en mi vida. That means a lot in my life. So, and then visiting nurse services was the last out on the field job that I had. And I was offered a position, and of course salary increased. Another location in upper New York closed down, so those people were filtered out into the lower 5 boroughs, and my location got 2 people, and one of those persons that came was given the position that I was promised, and that chilled me out, and I said, I gotta go. And I gave in my resignation, and I left. And I said, I can't do it no more. I gotta find me something else to do. So I stood home, and I had enough money, and I did unemployment and all that jazz. And my son, my oldest son, he went back to school, and he decided, oh, Mom, I'm going to become a certified nursing assistant. And I said, oh, okay. Well, following your mom's footsteps. Cool. No problem. I like that. So he went to school, and he was doing that, and he completed the course, and he went on and, getting ready to start working in his life and, doing things, after school that you do. You proceed on in your career. And comes home one night and he says, Mom, I said, what's up, Chris? He says, still have all your nursing credentials? I was like, yeah, of course. He was like, the director of my school is looking for an instructor. I said, well, Chris, I don't teach. I'm a nurse. That's what I do. I'm not a teacher. He said, oh, but give him a call. You never know. I said, Chris, I'm not a teacher. That's not what I do. What I do is I heal. Now, if you need an injection, you need some stitches, I could do that. But anything other than that, just not my field. So he says, oh, Mom, you know, just give him a call. You never know, you know. It's like, the money might be good. I said, you know, money is not everything. Gotta like what you do. You gotta be happy in what you know, what you get yourself into. He was like, oh, that's true, Mom. So that went on and went on and went on. A couple of weeks later, he says, Mom, you never called the guy. I said, no, Chris, I'm not going to call the guy. So he says, all right, Mom. I'm not going to say anything else about it. I said, all right, cool. So that went on and that passed by, and, you know, I never thought about it ever again. Then all of a sudden, I'm sitting down and I get this phone call. I said, hello, may I speak to Lisa? I said, oh, Lord, I don't owe nobody any money. Who's calling me? So he says, my name is so-and-so. I said, oh, how you doing, Mr. So-and-so? How did you get my number? He says, your son gave it to me. I said, that dear son of mine. So I says, so how can I help you? He says, well, I'm looking for a nurse. I said, well, who's sick? He said, no one. He says, I run a school and I need an instructor. I said, well, sir, you know, I don't teach. Now, you need me to give a couple of shots, I can give a couple of shots. You need wound care, I could do wound care. You need an IV set up, I could do some IVs. And he says, no, I need someone to teach a class for me. I said, well, what kind of class? Now I'm intrigued. He said, certified nursing assistant class. He said, I don't know nothing about that. He said, I thought it's similar to home health aides. I said, that's my understanding. Yes, it's similar to that. He said, well, have you ever dealt with home health aides? I said, yeah. I worked for Visiting Nurse Services of New York. So I'm quite aware of what home health aides do. He says, well, why don't you come over to the school, look the school over, and I could give you a little tour. I was like, oh my goodness. I said, well, let me humor him because I got nothing better to do. I says, okay, when you want to see me? He said, can you come in Friday? Now, mind you, it's Wednesday. I said, this Friday? He said, yeah, sure, this Friday. I said, all right, well, he sent me all the details. I go show up, and I get there. And nice school in Kew Gardens, Queens, New York. Gives me this grand tour. He says, how long you been a nurse? I said, well, I've been a nurse quite a while. He says, okay. Are you still out on the field? I said, no. He said, well, you retired? You're too young to retire. I said, well, I'm not that young. But, no, I haven't retired yet. I'm just taking like a sabbatical. I'm chilling. He says, oh, okay. So he says, writes down on a little piece of paper and slides it to me. He says, this is what we could pay you. So I take the paper and I said, well, this is what I usually get. So he looks at the paper. He said, well, that's a little steep. So he says, he writes another number. He slides the paper back to me. So it was in between our two figures, my figure and his figure. So I look at him and I says, when is the class? He said, it's 10 students. It's Monday. I said, Saturday, Sunday, Monday? He says, absolutely. I said, oh, you're killing me. Excuse me. My hand is all in the way. Make sure that the... Oh, he's sliding. Hold on. I know I'm messing it up. Please excuse me. So I say, oh my God, that's like short notice. That's like right there. He says, I know, but you'll be all right. You know what you're doing. I said, well, I'm glad you have confidence that I know what to do with your students, and I've never taught a day in my life. He said, this is the book. Let me show you the classroom. Takes me to the classroom. He said, this is where you will be, right, Monday. And I know you can do it. Come on. I says, oh boy. So I says, all right, we'll give it a go around. We'll try it out. So that Monday I show up bright and early too. Says, here we go. So I don't know what's gonna happen. And I get up in there, the classroom, right? He walks me to the class. And when I look at the classroom, there's an ocean of people. I said, what happened to the 10 students? Oh, we had a lot of registration. It's 40. I said, oh, my stars in heaven. You know, I was in total panic mode, right? I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, 40? I'm like, oh, man. I think I filled this up too much. I said, oh, man, I don't know what to do. 40? He says, oh, you'll be all right. So he goes and he sits in the back of the classroom. Now, majority of the women that were there were Spanish. So I opened up my mouth. I introduced myself. And everybody was like, Miss, you speak Spanish? I said, I sure do. For what did I say that? She said, oh, please, do the class in Spanish. So I opened up my mouth and I started speaking Spanish. And the rest was history. And I've been teaching now for 22 years. I don't teach home health aid, but I teach certified nursing assistants. And let me tell you, this is the most gratifying and the most beautiful profession that I have ever picked me, because I didn't pick it, it picked me. Like, for real. So I've been teaching ever since, and I think I put too much in here, so I don't know what to do with it. And I've been teaching ever since. I need to make like a little collage of all the students, because I take a picture of every class that I teach. The course is every 4 weeks. So every 4 weeks I take a picture of the students that graduate, that finish, that complete the course. There's too much in there. Let me pull some out. I need to make like a little collage or a slideshow of all the students that have come through the doors of the school, so people can see. It's a serious thing. You know, a lot of people come through and a lot of them have certain expectations because of the title of the course, which is Certified Nursing Assistant. So as soon as they hear the word assistant, they always think that they're going to be right